But right now...
So, in horror movies, when the girl's like, oh my god, there's something in the basement. Let me just run down there in my underwear and see what's going on in the dark. And you're like, what is your problem? Call the police.
Call the police, I think she was saying. That's Zoe Deschanel on the trailer for the show called New Girl, with one of these shows coming to TV3 Channel 4 in the next
okay,
2012 season. And joining us to talk about all this kind of stuff is Chris Pot at stuff.co.nz, of course, for the On the Box on the Radio segment, as we always do on this Wednesday morning. Down though. Totally things to we're going to be able to get Chris on the line just yet until that goes, and there he is, he's back. Sorry about that, Chris, I had to melt it down.
Well, that's all right.
Yeah, very good, very good. So the new season for TV3 and Channel 4 has been announced.
Yeah, they've come out, as they do every year around this time, and announced what their plans are for early next year, and of course going into later next announcement they make is for the first 6 months of the year. And they've got some really exciting new things coming up. 3 shows on this thing, because everyone has already seen all the big comedy hit on TV3.
Yeah.
We got Wanna Ben coming back for its 2nd series, and of course, if all news is good news, then those guys have certainly had their fair share of publicity this year.
That's true.
And the Almighty Johnson's coming back for a 2nd series as well. But they've got 3 exciting new shows coming up. I wanted to mention the first is an untitled Paul Henry show. Paul Henry is a very divisive character. What are your thoughts on Mr. Henry there, Whammer?
I've never been a big fan. I mean, even well before the whole Dick Gate or whatever it was called, I was I just don't not really into his style. I don't like the way he belittles people, talks down to people, not only his guests but also the audience as well, in many occasions, and often there's not a lot of substance going on. It's all about him rather than the subject or whatever he's talking about. But anyway, that's just me. That's my opinion.
Well, he's got his new show coming up. Apparently, it's going to be on 7 p.m. on Sundays, which at the moment it's at the moment got Raising Hope in it. They've had comedy shows in that spot pretty much for as long as I can remember. As I say, they've got Raising Family before that. So I'm wondering if it's going to be more of a comedy show, but they haven't announced any details. They're keeping everything kind of on the down low, so it'll be interesting to see what he comes up with. That said, on Stuff this week, there was a story about this show, just saying he's coming back on TV, and there were well over, I think it was over 400 comments from people who said they weren't too happy about that. So it'll be interesting to see what the response is when he finally makes it back to TV.
It's an interesting approach as well to give someone a time slot, but not actually have a concept for the show. Normally ideas happen, and then they find a host, or a host comes with some ideas. In this case, no, here's a time slot, and we'll think of an idea later. I don't know. It's pretty unconventional.
Yeah, I would say probably this is MediaWorks just fulfilling their obligation. When he signed up to do the radio live show that he does, am I allowed to mention them on the air? Sorry. He does his show in the afternoons there, and I think probably when he signed up to do that, part of the obligation on MediaWorks' part was that he would get his own TV show as well. And this is them just saying, we're planning to do this. This is on the way down the pipe, and we'll see what happens from here. I can't imagine it'll be too out there. It'll be a sit-down talk show, I'd imagine. I can't imagine Paul Henry doing anything else.
Yeah.
He's not going to do sketch comedy at 7 o'clock on Sunday nights. And if he did, I would say it would be a huge failure. So I'm not expecting anything too shocking there.
Let's hope it's not like Mike King's Late Night Mike King or whatever that was a few years ago. That was a shock.
Oh dear God! Let's hope nothing is ever like that ever again. Would be the best plan, I think.
Yeah.
The 2 other shows I wanted to mention. One is called Funny Roots. Now this one, they're sending comedians overseas to find out where they came from and kind of explore the comedic territory there, and just go through and check out local comedy offerings, and they're going to try and do a show to a different culture. It looks like all the regular band of merry comedians that they have on 7 Days is going to be involved in this. Jeremy Elwood goes to Canada, for example, and a few others. That looks like it might be kind of interesting. It's kind of making. Do you remember that show, Making Tracks? They had on C4 for a while.
Yep.
Where they would send a musician overseas and they would learn a new style and write a song in that style and stuff.
Yep.
It sounds kind of like that for stand-up comedy. So
Okay.
could be an interesting watch. And the other one is Would I Lie to You? A copy of the BBC panel show, which they're launching as a spin-off from 7 Days to be hosted by Jesse Mulligan, in which two teams being headed by Brendan Lovegrove and John Bridges try to trick each other into believing fake news stories.
Okay.
Which could be a bit of a laugh. The British show is very, very funny. So it'll be interesting to see if they can pull off that.
Uh-oh, you just said the British show is very funny. That's always a clue about what the local version's going to be like. But anyway.
But you're right, it'll be funny as well.
Yeah, sure.
And
Okay.
then, of course, there's a big range of new American shows coming. Homeland, which we've talked about. Grimm, American Horror Story, Awake, The New Girl, as you say,
Yeah.
Apartment 23, Up All Night. There's just a huge range of them coming, and they'll all show up sometime in the first half of next year.
Okay, excellent. All right, well, let's look at the TV review now, reviewing election debates on TV and other media as well.
I'm not sure if debate is the right word. Is the right word debacle?
Well,
Maybe? It's just it's a horrible, horrible thing. I kind of look at these as being, they're supposed to be a form of entertainment, aren't they? Like, we're supposed to be watching and being entertained by the leaders, and at the same time helping us make a decision, perhaps. Although I'm a bit sketchy on how much input a TV debate can have, because the forum is it's inherently flawed. I think no one gets to say their piece. They're just yelling at each other and arguing each other's points, and you don't really learn anything. What do you think?
well, I mean, I wonder. I think the leaders who were there would say that they were there to inform as opposed to entertain. But as you say, the format is probably geared towards perhaps more entertainment, because that is what TVNZ, in this case, with their debate this week, is geared towards. You know, they don't have a public service mandate anymore, so they don't need to provide something that's very dry and perhaps boring to most people. They are there to create a format that's going to perhaps create fireworks on screen, sparks flying, that kind of thing. It probably does. It does perhaps entertain some people, but probably inform very few.
Yeah, I'd think so. I think the biggest problem is this idea of involving the audience. I just don't see how. Like we mentioned off air, that The Worm is making a return on TV3, which is a real-time live audience analysis thing where they just kind of, the audience picks what they're feeling about each speaker as it goes.
Yeah.
I don't see how that has anything to do with politics, with voting, with the policies of the people involved. You can be a great live speaker and have absolutely no substance as a political party, and I don't see how any live audience analysis is going to help with any decision making. It just seems a bit stupid.
Well, you might remember, of course, it was back in, was it 2002? Yeah, it must have been 2002 that Peter Dunn rode in with a few extra MPs because he was able to ride the worm, I think it was called at that time, through saying some fairly vacuous kind of stuff, but it sounded kind of good, what he said. And the worm was appreciative, or the public who were manipulating the worm were appreciative of what he said. And that seemed to have swayed a greater group of voters as well. So it does have an effect. I mean, it's a real device that is being used on the TV that actually can sway votes.
And the other one that happened the other night with the TVNZ debate was having audience questions. We said as well, these questions are just distracting in the end, and I don't know that any member of the public is as well informed as the moderators at these panels, or they had the three experts sitting over in the corner. Those guys are the ones who should be asking the questions. They are trained to know what the proper issues are for the politicians to discuss.
Yeah.
So I don't see how having audience questions, they could have got up and said anything. Mr. Key, what's your favourite colour?
Yeah. Well, there was the question about the flag, which was it was quite irrelevant in the bigger scheme of things.
It is. It's not an actual issue, so why are we wasting time on it? And then, of course, the other thing that happened in the TVNZ is this over-talking thing business just makes it unwatchable almost, where they're asking a leader is asked.
Oh, no,
a
Chris,
question
I don't
and
know what you're talking about. No. What are you
That's
saying?
exactly
No,
right.
I don't understand.
That's exactly what happens. They don't get to say their piece because someone starts yelling over the top, and you miss what they were saying.
Yeah.
And that just drives me mental. I
Yeah.
wouldn't put up with it in real life, and I certainly wouldn't put up with it on an optional TV
Yeah.
show that I can switch over, and that's what I did.
And good. And getting back to your original point, is it an actual debate? Well, no. If you went to a proper debate on a stage or something, something that was set up in a theatre for people to go and see, you wouldn't see people talking over each other like that. It's just the way it's been set up on TV. Hey, let's look at the week ahead on New Zealand TV.
I've got 3 shows. They're all on the new Soho channel, which is pretty much the only thing I've been watching aside from political debates. We've got Weeds Series 6 kicking off on Wednesday at 8:30. Well, it's tonight, 8:30. We've got The Hour, which is a new BBC show about a current affairs show that's designed for... It's kind of a 60-minute show, one of the first of its kind, and gets embroiled in some MI6 intrigue and spies and murder mysteries and things. It's a really good show as well. 8:30 Saturday that's on. And then the big one, Boardwalk Empire Series 2, is on 8:30 Sunday. I know you're watching that one already. And that's starting off with a feature-length premiere, so it should be good.
Excellent. Check that out. Check out the blog at stuff.co.nz in the entertainment section. That's where Chris Philpott hangs out. It's called On the Box. And Chris
Definitely.
Chris Philpott NZ on Twitter as well. We'll see you next week.
Awesome. Thank you.